Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas and I'm here with the starting 11 video for today, previewing our match against Spurs on Monday. At the time we're recording it Sunday. We've had Carlo's press conference already, and from what we know from that, Delph's still injured. He's been told not to rush back, and Walcott is still injured as well. But Richarlison seems to be fit despite picking up a knock against Leicester. And Sidibe is back to full fitness and is ready to be chosen again. Just to start off, quite a simple one. John Pickford in goal. No one's going to replace him. That's always quite a simple one to get out there. He did almost have a bit of a howler against Leicester when he let the ball go through his hands, but we know he does that sometimes. Still a top quality goalkeeper, and Stecklenburg and Virginia aren't going to replace him yet. Digne left back, another one which I think is quite simple. Obviously, we know that Baines has signed a contract extension just to the end of the season. He's definitely just kind of there as a backup, I feel, and might not even sign a contract for next year, which would be disappointing. But he may want to move to the MLS or move somewhere he's going to get more playing time towards the end of his career. And Digne is kind of just the first choice. Obviously, we signed the young lad Nkunku, but he won't be available for selection. I don't think you're allowed to register players that haven't been signed so far, because obviously he came on a free transfer. But yeah, I think Digne starting again over Baines. We might see Baines a couple of times in the next coming games, because obviously now is the time where the fixtures are really piling up. We've got Southampton 3 days after this game, and then Wolves after that. So a couple of tricky games, and maybe that'll be the time for rotation. I can't see this. I think if there was ever going to be a game where Carlo would choose to change the system, change who he's playing, it would be against a lower, team in the league like Southampton, who we will be playing soon. And so I can see with sticking with the same kind of starting 11 as he has done for the majority of the season since the restart. Holgate and Keane centre-back partnership. Obviously, Keane's been very solid man of the match against Leicester for me. Holgate, we all know, has been brilliant all season. Obviously, Mina did come on as a substitute, but I can't see him starting yet. And another one who will probably start against Southampton just to get him game time, get him a few minutes, give a rest to maybe one of Keane or Holgate before a tricky Wolves fixture straight after. Now, the right back's an interesting one. Well, the right-hand side, I think, is probably going to be the most interesting sign about how Carlo's going to rotate for the rest of the season. We know that Sidibe is back. Coleman's been in brilliant form so far since the restart, so I can see him starting this game again. But right midfield, we could potentially see Sidibe there. I feel obviously he was employed there in Carlo's 4-4-2 a couple of times, quite a few months ago now. And obviously maybe if it will be struggling for fitness, we're looking to be more defensive against a good Spurs side, a lot of dangerous attacking players. We could play Sidibe, and maybe potentially rest Iwobi for a game where we might be more attacking against Southampton. So I can actually see Sidibe potentially starting on the right wing. Purely because we're probably going to have to defend more than we have in most games. And it will be, a lot of players look like they're struggling for fitness at the moment. And I think whether we see Sidibe or Tom Davies in this team is kind of going to signal how Carlo's kind of setting up for the game, whether he wants to kind of dominate possession, dictate play with kind of Sigurdsson and Iwobi, or whether he's going to want to sit back, maybe hit them on the counter as he did against Leicester. But just for now, I'll say I think I can see Sidibe starting on the right midfield role, purely because I think we're going to have to defend more than we will against Southampton. And if there was ever a game to rest him, rest Iwobi, it would be a game where we're not going to attack a lot. Maybe we'll hit them on a couple of counters. So then we'll have to play Sidibe there to be more defensive. I can see the central midfield partnership potentially changing to go maybe Sigurdsson and Davies. Obviously Gomez has been all right since the restart, but he seems to be struggling a lot for fitness. He was kind of flat out against Leicester towards the end. And I can see, if we're going to want some sort of creative output, going forwards, we're going to need Sigurdsson, especially if we're going to look to dominate possession and potentially take the game to Spurs. And then Davies as well, he came on against Leicester. I thought he put in a good shift, to be fair. And, he's had a couple of games rest now. And I can see Gomez kind of, his fitness is obviously, he's really struggled with it. Obviously with his pretty serious injury, which is perfectly understandable, and not come back to full fitness. But it'll be interesting now. Obviously, Davies kind of came on in almost like a man marking role against James Maddison. So it'll be interesting to see how he's employed in this game. But I can see potentially a midfield of Sigurdsson and Davies, purely just to give Gomez a rest, because he just seemed absolutely shattered towards the end of the Leicester game. Moving over to the left wing, obviously this is quite an interesting one at the moment because we do have Iwobi, Bernard and Anthony Gordon. Obviously Anthony Gordon was absolutely brilliant against Leicester. Getting his assist, I thought he played well the whole game. I can see him starting again on the left wing. I think he offers us so much more going forwards. I think he fits the system really well, kind of drifting into the number 10 role, coming more central as Bernard was doing. And I think Bernard's been quite poor really while he's come on. Obviously, he's mainly been used as substitute since the league has restarted, and I haven't been that impressed with him. Maybe struggling for fitness. So I can see Gordon starting again on the left wing with Bernard potentially coming on later because we don't know how Gordon's fitness is either. Obviously, these are his, kind of first steps into professional football, senior football. So I can see Gordon starting, but then Bernard potentially coming on maybe not too long into the second half. Obviously, with the 5 substitution rule that you can make now. And then up front, Calvert-Lewin, another no-brainer. Because I think, obviously, Moise Kean, he's probably going to be fitter than Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison at the moment. Potentially, Richarlison picked up that knock against Leicester. But Moise Kean just looked dreadful when he came out against Norwich. Sometimes his attitude doesn't look great when he comes off the bench. And obviously, if Richarlison is full fitness, I think you have to start him in a game like playing against Spurs. If you're going to rest players, make more rotation, as I've said, you'd probably see Moise Kean come on, play against Southampton, and then back to Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin for the Wolves game. These are in a matter of 6 or 7 days. So I can see the striker partnership staying the same. Richarlison seems to be full fitness. Ancelotti doesn't think there is much of a problem there. And I think it'll be interesting now to see what kind of system Carlo goes for in this game, because I think if he starts Iwobi, Sigurdsson and Gomez in the midfield, he'll be looking for much more of an attacking game, kind of controlling possession and less counter-attacking as we did against Leicester. Or will he go for the more defensive approach, counter-attacking, which we'll definitely see Sidibe, I think, if we're going to have to defend more. He'll offer more cover to Coleman, who might start struggling for fitness soon, although he has looked very impressive, and maybe we won't have a midfield of Sigurdsson and Gomez. So it'll be interesting to see how Carlo decides to line up for this game, especially keeping in mind the Southampton game in 3 days and then Wolves just after that. So just overall, to end off the video, my starting 11 would be obviously Carlo's traditional 4-4-2. Pickford in goal, Coleman right back, Digne left back, centre back partnership of Keane and Holgate. Right mid, I think I'm going to go with Sidibe now he's back to full fitness. A midfield of Sigurdsson and Davies, a left wing Gordon, and strike partnership of Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. So it'll be interesting to see how you think Carlo's going to set up for this game. Let us know in the comments below and on Twitter. Do you think he's going to go for more of a defensive approach against, a team that, we all know that Jose can't be a defensive manager, but they do have very good attacking players going forward. Kane, Ali, Son, we will have to be careful about them if we are going to go and dictate the play. But I can personally see us being more defensive and potentially hitting Spurs on the counter, especially away from home. Not that that has, a massive influence anymore, obviously with no fans being there. But I can see a more defensive approach and kind of counter-attacking football. And then potentially we rest some attacking players for Southampton, where we'll be dictating the play a lot more and not defend as much as we will have to against Spurs. And we will have to at some point. Obviously, it'll be Jose will set his team up to defend. They are going to have to be a solid defensive unit, which they didn't particularly look like that at times against Sheffield United. For their second goal, it was quite lazy defending, and Jose wouldn't have been happy with that. And I can see, Spurs potentially making some defensive changes to be more solid in that aspect of the pitch. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out all our social medias in the description below. Tell us on Twitter and the comments below what you think Carlo's going to do, who you think his starting 11 is going to be, and let's hope for a good result against Spurs tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.